Hi, the second half of the GDDP beginner tier time, just another Wednesday. This time, the saving feature kinda works, so we are headed into the correct direction. The second half is harder than the first, I've been told, which I agree with after beating everything, by the way. Speaking of which, last time I talked about Ed Sheeran, Censored Hentai, Silverware, a YouTuber, Funny Lights, Mystic Monster, Dementia, a Paradox, another Paradox, Africa, Hot Sauce, and Pluto. Let's continue and hope my opinions don't cause a zombie outbreak. If that does happen, we will slay all of them. This is a very bright level, with some weird gameplay here and there. I beat this on the LDM because I like my eyes not bleeding. Either way, this level is bad. Yeah, so there's like an invisible saw blade the size of the average Dutchman right in the middle of a part, which is only extremely annoying. On top of that, the last part, specifically the duels, are really annoying. I would replace it just because of the invisible saw blade in the middle of the level, but either way, I did not like this level. For a ship and wave focused level, I found God Eater, which I think fits at least a bit better for the wave category. Final verdict, replaced with something along the lines of God Eater. We really need to take into account the rapid virtualization of the world before we decide though. This level's awesome. It's really fun. It has some good deco on top of that. I see absolutely no reason to stop virtualization if this is the quality of it. For once, I actually have absolutely no complaints, except that I found it a bit easier than where it's placed. I know the list is very subjective and not important at all, but I thought I'd just mention that since the GDDP is loosely ordered by difficulty. Overall, great level, no replacement needed. Oh, sorry. My cat just came into the room and he's telling me his detailed opinion about the GDDP. Haha, take that, GDDP moderators! Yeah, I agree. This level is pretty decent, and the boss fight actually fits in for once. Oh wow, you've looked at too? Yeah, that is actually kinda true. The level can get pretty annoying, with some parts being straight up nonsensical. I disagree. I think my final verdict is that it actually does fit into the GDDP. Okay, good luck with that. He's searching for treasure, which is always marked by an X. Let's hope for him he finds it. Anyway, about this level. This is yet another classic on the GDDP, being made by an extremely uncontroversial creator at that. This is one of the most downloaded levels in the entire game, and for good reason to be honest, because it's dedicated to a balding artificial ascent victor, and that guy really deserves a shout out. This is also one of like 2 levels that actually use breakable blocks in an interesting way, which is very epic. Yeah, no real notes, just a really good level. Final verdict, irreplaceable. Thankfully, the quality hasn't dipped into the Desolate Deep yet, even though we did have Outbreak at the start, whatever. Desolate Deep is a level that exists. It has some hardish ship parts and some duels here and there, but besides that, it's nothing very special at all. That really is the level's biggest flaw, to be honest. It's just not very special and memorable. For a filler level, I think it does its job really well, though. The GDDP does partly want you to go demon grinding, so for that purpose, it actually works very well. You kind of have to be something boring or annoying every now and then, you know? Final verdict, you could replace the level, but I don't really see a need to be honest. Yo! My cat came back! Yo, what the f***? He found a buried angel. How the f*** did he find that? I mean, yeah, it was buried under the X. This is a gauntlet level, which makes it a fitting pick for the GDDP, to be honest, especially because you can beat the level twice. Once in the gauntlets and once on the servers. Many people don't realize you can actually do this for some reason, so this is a very good way to let them know. Besides that, this makes sense to be here still. Buried Angel has some like cognition-styled easy demon gameplay, and since levels like that have become more popular as of recent, that actually totally makes sense to have represented in here. Final verdict, fits in the GDDP. Good job, y'all. You could say this one is obvious, but I'm not opening that can of worms. Neither am I opening the can of Psy worms. So this is where I start having issues again. This one is not very good. I do have severe bias against this level because it's XL, but still, this is still, even for an XL level, awful. At least in my opinion, of course. It looks kind of cool and all, but many parts just don't make any sense whatsoever. This is especially the case for the wave around 25%. Like, yes, there are arrows indicating where you have to go, but you could still die here at times just because you have no fucking clue where you have to go. Invisible shit is once again a real killer here. I hated playing this, which means it fits excellently as an introduction to Jonathan GD gameplay. I would definitely replace this with something like In Silico. This has comparable length while being far more consistent and well balanced, and also not being as janky. Final verdict, replace with In Silico. This is sad because the rest of the XL levels in the beginner tier are pretty much perfect picks. Case in point, Death Moon. This is just a masterclass in how to build a geometry dash level. For For 1.9, even for 2.1 to be honest, this level looks really good. The gameplay is, especially for the time, really good, despite one hiccup being the UFO, because that one's just not that good to play. Like, some of the clicks in these UFO are so weird and so dependent on one another that they are really annoying. Either way, that one part doesn't ruin the level. I really couldn't see anything that makes this replaceable whatsoever. Final verdict, irreplaceable. That level was not very problematic, unlike this one. 9 circles level time. This is obviously the most obvious pick they could have done, but I think it fits here. The only issue, at least inherent issue, is that it is a 9 circles level where the pre-drop is the hardest part by far. Like, come on, that sucks ass. Either way, because there really does need to be some kind of representation for 9 circles levels, they couldn't really have picked anything better in my opinion. There are better easy demon 9 circles levels, but to start off, I do think this is the best one to pick. Simply because this is the most simple one, unlike something like Q effect and butterfly effect, for example. And on the other side of the coin, you have levels like infinite circles, which no. Final verdict, don't replace. The classics aren't stopping anytime soon, because Chaos Impact is also definitely a classic. This is a very hard easy demon, which is mostly because of the waves. I don't know if I would actually slot this into the beginner tier, especially considering that there are easier levels in the bronze tier, such as Nemesis, for example. I would swap this level for something in the bronze tier because the waves in here are really hard, whilst the rest of the level is also just easy demon difficulty. Final verdict, keep this in the GDDP, but swap it out with something from the bronze tier. Now that I've moved it, I put this level in motion. This is another classic. Jesus Christ, what's up next? Decode? This is a level that I really don't like, but most people I talk to do, so it makes sense that this is here. I have my qualms with this level, such as this robot click or some of the transitions in the second half. On top of that, some of the gameplay is very weirdly built, which makes for inconsistencies, but that checks out because it's a flow level. So just keep that in mind before you try this level out. Final verdict, no replacement, but I don't like it. So what's up next? Oh, come on! Yes, this is Decode. I jinxed it. Do I have to talk about this level? Do I have to talk about Decode? Really? I have to talk... Okay. I have to talk about Decode. It's one of the most classic levels in the entire game, with this wave part sparking multiple GD careers. This is of course a good fit for the GDDP, and I actually would have been very surprised if this wasn't here at all. I do want to mention that this is not an easy demon, so do keep that in mind. Final verdict, it fits in, because of course it does. It's Decode. When people see Decode, they often quickly respond with, "Whoa! Holy!" or something like that. I don't know, I'm not religious. This is a very hard easy demon with some very hard, and I fluked it. Oops. Either way, this level has some very hard parts, such as the ending, which is some of the only ball timings I've ever seen in an easy demon. With this level being second half heavy, that does lead to wildly different experiences. In my opinion, this level does really fit in, especially at the end of the GDDP. I don't think it would work at the beginning of this tier. I only think it works at the end because it's a very hard easy demon. It prepares you for the levels after it, especially with this ass of balancing. Final verdict, this fits very well at the end of the GDDP, even though it doesn't really fit anywhere else. That was really solid. We ignored the saw blade. I think the GDDP beginner tier is put together very well. The progression and difficulty can be a bit off and a bit weird at times, but that makes sense because it isn't really supposed to be that linear. And of course the GDDP is not meant to be followed one level after the other. It's more of a suggestions list. I also got informed about the main level situation last time. They are in there because a lot of people actually skip the main levels. Those goddamn kids nowadays. Is the bronze tier as good as the beginner tier? Well, that's for next time.